All right, we are recording for tale 40, I believe it is. Yes, 40 in Grimm's Fairy Tales, at least this version of it. Um, The Water of Life. And I actually really like this story. I think it's a good story. Um, and it does also have like good storytelling and it is like a good moral in here as well. Um, yeah, no, definitely like it. The funny thing is, it does seem to be almost a mashup of some of the other stories. I know one of them is the Golden Bird. Yeah, the Golden Bird. What were the feel like there's another. I'm not sure if I'll recognize it by just looking at their titles. Um, I should probably not worry about it too much and just start talking about what the story is. Especially because, as I said, I'm not sure if I'd recognize it from the titles. No. Anyway, um, so you got a king. He has three sons, and that's actually the. Hang on. Let me look. I'm sorry. Let me look again, because there was another one that was like that. Um, it was the three sons all sent out on some quest. The first two fail. Yeah. The one with the fox. Uh, it was somewhat late in it, wasn't it? Well, no, I don't think it was that one. Ah, man, I really, I might be able to spot. Yes, I know I will be able to spot because I know one of the plates. I do remember. But anyway, so you've got the three sons, and to this king, so they're three princes, and uh, he is dying. No remedy has worked. Oh no, that is part of the Golden Bird. Okay, okay. So it's a lot like the Golden Bird then. There was two different aspects that are similar between these two. I just had forgotten that one of them was that both of them were also in the Golden Bird. Anyway, three sons. He's dying, and somebody tells them that hey, the water of life is like the only thing that will cure him. So they all want to go and do this. The eldest first goes to the father and is like, hey, I want to do this. And King's like, no, it's dangerous. I'd rather die than you come to harm. Which I'll admit, just reading that, I'm like, alrighty, I'm liking this story. Because it's like, that is what that father should probably be saying there. It's like, yeah, good life. I'd rather myself die than anything bad happen to you. And it's also like setting up, okay, yes, there's going to be a moral to this story. Because the king already is like, yeah, this moral is a moral person here. Anyway, um, so eventually the eldest is able to plead enough that the king allows him to go. He goes out and encounters a dwarf. Jay showed that this guy. This is a little bit later in the story, but that's the dwarf. Um, Encounters him on the road, and the dwarf is like, "Hey, where you going? What you doing?" Little shrimp, it is no business of yours. Curse on you, and so he puts a curse on him. So as he continues to ride off, he ends up going into a ravine. And this dude is stupid. Because he keeps going until the mountains on either side are so close, he can't back his horse up. He also can't get down from his horse. Why you'd go that far into the ravine, I don't know. But anyway, the second brother then oh, and by the way, I should also mention that part of the reason the eldest son wants to go out and do this is because it's like, oh, then I will be the most beloved of our father, and I will get I will inherit the kingdom then. So it's also greed. So he's not only a jerk to the dwarf, but it's also just greedy. The second brother is thinking the same thing, pleads with the father, and it's like all the same stuff happens to him, including insulting the dwarf, so the dwarf traps him with the curse. The youngest son, obviously he's going to be better. Oh, and it also does say in here, after the second, yeah, after the second son has feels the repercussions of the curse, so fair haughty people, which I might not have pronounced that correctly, haughty. if you want to look it up, Haughty. Don't know why I decided to say it Luke when I could have just read it out from there. But yeah, it's also, that's one that not only speech impediment, but also going down like this wasn't as easy to get the sound out. Anyway, but the third, he's not. He's not haughty. He is actually fairly humble. So when the dwarf asks him, "What you doing?" It's like, "Dad's sick. Just told the water of life can cure him. Do you know where that is?" "No." "Alright, you've been respectful to me. I'll tell you where to go. And also, here are 2 loaves of bread and an iron wand. You will need these. Because when you come to the castle that the water of life is in, there's a iron door. Tap it 3 times, it'll spring open. Well, if you tap it 3 times with the iron wand, it will spring open. There's also 2 lions inside. Okay. And you feed them the loaves and they'll let you by. Okay, so the lion... Okay, so it's like there's a door to the walls of the castle, and then the lions are, like, guarding the door of the castle. He enters in there, and inside he finds a bunch of enchanted princes. It does say... It is plural, so multiple. And this is a little weird, and doesn't come up later, which is also a little disappointing, but he takes the rings off of all of them, which... This is not just theft. It's not like, oh, I'm robbing these guys. Potentially the rings would also identify them. I'm pretty sure this is accurate. But if you watch a movie like Ben-Hur from 59, I think it is. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. There's the seal of Arius is a ring. And you also see Masala. He seals something using his ring. You see another place as well. It is a seal, so it is identifying who you are. So it's possible he's taking the rings not for the wealth, but that they would almost be like dog tags. And it's like he can take those and he can show them to somebody and be like, "Yes, you found my son there." But they are in an enchanted sleep. And while he does return to the castle later, we don't find out what happens to these princes. He also finds there a sword and another loaf of bread, so he takes both those. Continues on, comes across a princess, who she's like, "Oh, you're here! The spell is broken. If you come back in a year, we'll get married, and then we'll have much celebration, and you will have the whole kingdom." Okay. It's a little weird, because it's like literally just, boom, princess. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, that's a little weird, but oh, and I think I'd have to admit that, you know, my own life was like, boom, princess. It's like, I don't think I'd complain. Maybe depends on the character. Maybe she's haughty. She's not. Maybe. Anyhow, so he continues on. He's feeling tired and finds like a newly made bed, so he lies down in it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he had been warned that the door that he opened, the iron door they opened with the wand, will close at 12. And you need to be out before then. If you're not, you're trapped. Well, he rests, because he is tired, fine, but when he awakes, there's a quarter hour until, so 50 minutes until the door would close. So now it's like, oh crap. He has to rush, does manage to get the water, and then is running out, and is so close that it refers to him, the door shuts so violently that it cuts off part of his heel. It takes a part of his heel with it. This wound doesn't come up later, which I find a little disappointing. I mean, like, neither do the princes. They seem to also just vanish. Anyway, he's heading back home now. Encounters the dwarf. And by the way, there's, like, no sense of scale. Encounters the dwarf, and the dwarf is like, "Well done. You did as you were told. Very good." That sword, by the way, can slay entire armies, and that loaf of bread is unending. And Prince is like, "Awesome." I mean, he came for the water. I mean, so this is cool. And by the way, in that plate, he's actually holding the sword. The prince is holding the sword. So then he's like, "Hey, you know, my 2 brothers went out before me. Did you see them? Yeah, they were jerks, so I cursed them. Could you let him go? They're not good people. Could you let him go? They have bad hearts. Could you let him go? Fine. So he lets them go. So now the three of them continue traveling on the way home. And they enter a kingdom that is struck by famine. And it's also like there are enemies at the gates kind of thing. So he's like, to the king that, here's this loaf of bread. It is unending. Feed your people. Here's the sword. Slay your enemies. Just alone, but, you know. So the king does that. Feeds his people. They're good now. Slays his enemies. He's good now. Returns the sword and the bread. They continue on to 2 more kingdoms. 2 more countries. And same thing happens. So he has helped these 3 countries now. Continue on. Now they get on a boat together to cross the sea. None of this was described for them getting there, getting to where the water of life was. None of it was described there, but now it's all there. Anyway, get on the sea. I guess they're just taking a very different path home, but anyhow. While going back, this is when the 2 brothers, because they're jerks, decide to conspire against him and decide, all right, we're going to take that cup of the water of life, pour it into one of our cups, and we're going to put seawater in there and not tell him. So now, when the youngest gets to the king and gets to the father and is like, I brought it for you. This will cure you. He takes a sip, can immediately tell it's seawater, more or less, and his illness gets worse. So then the other brothers, the elder brothers, are like, here, father, is the cure. And it describes not only is he healed, is he restored, but he's restored to his strength as if he were a young man again. And they're like, the youngest brother tried to poison you. So he's angry. Calls his council, and it's decided, my youngest must die. Huntsman, you shall take him out into the forest and shoot him. This seems rather rash. Also, by the way, the 2 brothers told the youngest, you tell the truth, we kill you. Your reward for not telling is your life. And by the way, one of us is going to head back to that princess. After I think I forgot to mention, she had said, if you come back in a year, we'll be married. I think I may have said that, but yeah, that year later, married, celebration, kingdom, all that. So the brothers are like, we'll head back. Yeah, don't worry, we'll take care of her. I'm sorry, it's just kind of stupid because it's like, she did see him. She might know, you're not him. My brother and I, we look a lot alike, but we're not that identical. So anyway, he keeps his mouth shut. Going out, the huntsman is upset, and he's like, what's wrong? I shouldn't tell you. It's okay, you can be honest with me. I pardon you of all that. I'm supposed to kill you. Well, I don't like that idea. How about this? Let's trade clothes. And you just say you killed me. So it's like, you get my princely clothes, I'll take your common clothes. Okay. So that happens, and now the prince is just hanging out in the forest. Yeah. So, by the way, we don't really know what happened to the sword and the bread at this point. Those seem to have disappeared. Anyway, Huntsman heads back. No one knows better. No one is the wiser. But now 3 wagon loads of gold arrive. The hell's this from? Our masters are the kings of these countries that your youngest saved. Oh! Maybe he was innocent. It's like the king is figuring out, my 2 eldest sons might be bad people. Might have lied to me. But he's also like, oh, if only I knew before my son was dead. And the huntsman's like, I didn't kill him. We don't know where he is, but he's still alive out there. Okay, so now the time is coming that the year is almost up. Not completely. So the eldest decides, I'm going to get a bride. And a kingdom. And all that wealth. So he's going. But the princess has not exactly she's laid out a test. Not a trap, but a test. She had a golden road built in front of the castle and told the attendants, like the people at the door, my true suitor will come up the path. The false ones will go on the sides of it. Eldest comes up, sees the golden path. It's like, I cannot mar this. Goes on the right side. Comes up to the door, and the attendant's like, you're not him, go away. Second sets out, because, hey, some time has passed, I haven't heard anything from my elder brother. Now I'll go. Again, sees it's like, it'd be terrible if the horse's hooves kicked up a part of this gold. It'd be terrible. So he goes on the left side. And again, turned away. Now the actual suitor, the youngest, he's in the forest and he is miserable. He is hating life and he's like, oh, I just want to escape my misery. She will be that escape. I can find her and just everything. Life will be great. Life will be better. I don't have to worry about it. It'll be, my misery will be over. So he goes. But he is also like so in his mind talking about her. Well, thinking about her, focusing on her. He doesn't even notice the golden road. It's like, it's gold? So he goes right up it because it's like, he has no idea. And this is also on the actual correct day. Like it is mentioned when a year has actually completed. So the two brothers also came early. So he arrives, comes in, they let him in, it's like, yes, that is my suitor. Let's be married, have the great celebration. End of the celebration, she also says, by the way, your dad sent out messengers saying that you're forgiven and wants you back and is welcoming you back home and all. Oh, cool. What's up with my brothers? They disappear. Like they got on a boat, left, and never heard of again. It's like probably a good thing. But yeah, so that's how that story goes, and I like it. Yeah, I would. There are some details missing, and because it feels a little bit like a mashup, but very very slightly. Like it just the sword and that loaf of bread just suddenly disappear. Like, does he still have those with him? Did he leave them with his father or something? Because it doesn't indicate that the brothers stole those. And also the heel being missing. Yeah, I mean, it's like, why is that just suddenly there and then not mentioned? Especially because it's like, I assume heel as in heel of his foot, not like the heel of his shoe. But like he is wounded kind of thing. But I mean that's okay. That's okay. Small detail like that could disappear over time. But no, I definitely like it and it does have that moral of he was the actual good person. The youngest was the good guy. The two eldest were assholes. I mean, not only did they treat the dwarf badly, but they then conspired against him to turn their father against him, threatened to kill him, and then we're going to steal the princess. They're bad people. And they're haughty. So it's like, the so fair, all haughty people. Yeah. And also that I'm trying to remember if I've actually mentioned it in any of these videos. I wrote up a thing a while ago. Yeah, from a point of view, this command would have been a while ago. Talking about something that I see about some modern stories, although a lot of them I try not to watch. Try not to see with the whole, the modern heroine and how a lot of these modern female action heroes are, I'm going to say it, but in a character way, not in the physical way. They're unattractive. Like, they're unattractive characters. And I wrote this whole thing because I was starting with just the whole concept of Beauty and the Beast. Because to me, and then I read it and some of that changed, but just the short version is, I do believe that there's a basic masculine desire for forgiveness that a woman, a wife, can provide. And the princess does. I was like, he wants to escape his misery, so he goes to her, because she can be in that escape from that misery. So that, I might be biased, because I do think that that's there, but there's also an aspect of, in what I wrote up, and especially after reading Beauty and the Beast, which I do recommend, Project Gutenberg has a version of it, is, as I read that, I was realizing that it's also, like, more fundamental than that, the concept of virtue. That a woman such as Beauty or Belle, the translation in that Project Gutenberg has, she's named Beauty in that. Like, she's called that because she's beautiful. Whereas if you know the Disney movie, she's called Belle. Well, Belle is Beauty in French, and Beauty and the Beast is a French story, so that's why. But in any case, she is described as a very virtuous woman. And that, in what I was writing, yes, this is technically still the short version, is that some of these modern characters, some of these modern female action heroes and such, they're not virtuous characters. That, you know, it's like a knight. I'm trying to think of a good way to put it that would kind of relate. Yeah, that actually would. I didn't put this in there because I don't know well enough to feel to be able to do that, and also I wanted to try to just argue the point instead of arguing examples. Eowyn in The Lord of the Rings, prior to spring coming to her heart, thanks to Faramir, she is not a virtuous woman, is actually how I would describe it in this context. She's not. She desires glory in battle, which even like Éomer and Theoden are like, no, and Aragorn are like, no, that there's nothing glorious there. You should not. We are doing this because we must. You should not want this, but she does. She wants that glory. In that way, she's not a virtuous character, but she does come to it later on by talking with Faramir. And yeah. So in this, though, that princess, because of the whole having the test and such, and that it is, there's a value here. She is a virtuous character consistently in this story. In the story, she is consistently that. But I was just with the Eowyn thing trying to explain that I do think that we do have an issue there, because also like in The Lord of the Rings prior to that with Eowyn, she doesn't necessarily, because her desire for that kind of glory, you couldn't, Faramir going to her as though it's like, yes, he has killed so many things and is suffering, it has a pain from having to have to end so much life, even though he's a captain of Gondor, he would be comfortable with that. But let's say that he was uncomfortable with it, that it did trouble him. She desires it, so she wouldn't necessarily understand that pain herself, and so would not be a source of that forgiveness. Because of not being so virtuous. That does change, and also arguably she probably did understand that pain because of what she felt from the impacts of the Witch King on her, but it is also to her mind she failed because her uncle Theoden died. But it's still, Faramir says the right things, and he loves her, and she realizes, I mean, it really is a very good character, and I do find it a little amusing, the whole, what I was saying, that in a way, prior to that, she is the modern action heroine, I should say. But then, through Faramir's love for her, spring comes to her heart. I mean, like, that is actually, I was putting there, that her heart was cold as winter. But now, even though they don't know if humanity's going to survive, because Sauron might still win, she still feels spring coming to her heart. I mean, that's what we're missing in some of this stuff. But it's also hard to say, because I don't watch it. Why would I watch it? I was like, the stuff with Rings of Power, why would I watch some of that crap? And I hear people talk about it, and I see some stuff, it's like, no. It's like, there's also one thing that I'll mention this, and I know, I'm going far afield, but one thing, it's just a criticism that I've seen when they were talking about the siege of whatever the hell the city is at the end of, what was that, I guess season 2? I don't even know. But in images and people talking about it, they were the orcs were using trebuchets. And it's like, okay, I very much have a problem with this. Because one of the things in the Battle of Pelennor Fields in The Return of the King, Gondor has trebuchets. Now, I have seen some criticisms that it doesn't make sense how they're using them, or at least where they're placed. But Gondor has trebuchets. And the orcs have catapults. With catapults being technically a less advanced siege weapon. But one thing, that's actually important, because the part of how I see that there, whenever I've seen that movie, is the orcs are less advanced. They're more brutish. A trebuchet is a complex machine, so the humans here, though smaller in number, are much more advanced. So it's like that's part of the distinction between them. One is advanced, intelligent. The other is more brutish, is more bestial. And that's also a distinction between humans and orcs in the Tolkien lore, it seems. So in Rings of Power, when I'm seeing those clips, and it's like the orcs are using a trebuchet. So, okay, you're telling me that they went from that to thousands of years later, and yes, it is thousands of years between them, to suddenly back to catapults. And there's plenty of other stupid things about that show that I've seen just by internet osmosis kind of stuff, but... And there's also that going with the whole Galadriel presentations between the two. It's like Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings, like in the book, is a very fantastic character, and is very much the virtuous woman. And there's never any belief that she's ever been in warfare. She also doesn't desire it. She will fight when she must. She tears down the walls of is it Barad? No. I'm trying to remember which it is. Is it the wall? No, because Barad collapsed at the destruction of... That's right. It's the necromancer's stronghold. That's where she goes and tears down, because she is that mighty, that she is that powerful. The idea of her using a sword is like, why? But it's also, it's not in the movies. But one thing that I love, and I'll try to just share this, and what this has to do with Grimm's Fairy Tales, I don't know, but I ramble, and I like this. I want to talk about this, because it is just such a great thing. Because the dwarfs and the elves aren't supposed to like each other, like especially the dwarfs shouldn't like the elves. But Gimli, seeing her, is completely captured by her beauty. And there's some greater significant stuff there, if you know some of the stuff from the Silmarillion that I have not read the Silmarillion yet, but I have seen some things talking about this for what her gift to him was. But when encountering Éomer the first time, Éomer describes her as the Witch of Lorien, and Gimli's like, I'm gonna kill you now. You shall not insult her. It's like, okay, it's gonna wait. You know, because you are speaking in ignorance, Éomer. Because you have not seen her. But, and also we're on the same side, so I shouldn't be killing you. But once you see her, if you disagree that if you think she is not the most beautiful thing in the world, I will kill you. I'm getting my axe out. So, fast forward to Return of the King, the end of that, because Galadriel does come to the crowning of Aragorn, King Elisar, and also the marriage of him with Arwen, who, by the way, is Galadriel's granddaughter. And this is kind of important. And so afterwards, like at the reception, Gimli comes up to Éomer and is like, so, now that you've seen her, what do you think? And Éomer is like, Master Dwarf, Master Gimli, forgive me, but I do not believe she is the most beautiful. Where's my axe? Where's my... I mean, that is actually the line, where is my axe? He wants to... I'm about to kill this guy. And Éomer's like, hold on. I cannot say she's the most beautiful, for I have seen Arwen as well. And Gimli's like, we're good. I love the sun, you love the moon. We're good. Man, Tolkien was good. I'm sorry, I'm just looking over because I can see my physical copy of Lord of the Rings over there. Man, that's good. At some point, I might try to do assigned reading videos in the Silmarillion stuff. I will probably start with the Great Tales before going to the Silmarillion itself. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm changing up how I do some reading stuff that won't make that possible. I just have no idea when. It's in part going to depend on, okay, when am I comfortable with probably showing myself being stupid? Because they're not always, like, Lord of the Rings is not always the easiest to read. It depends. It depends. So I'm not sure how going through the Legendarium stuff will be. I don't mind showing that I'm stupid, though. I really don't. It's just, do I want to actively engage in that or read some other stories first? So, we'll see. Alright, come back to this, the what is it? The Water of Life? I really did like it. I really did like it. And yeah, that's right. I got onto this because of talking about how that princess does, I think, represent that idealized, yeah, but masculine desire for a woman, and that she is virtuous and is someone that. I mean, here, let me even try to find it. What his thoughts actually are. When at last the year had entirely inspired, the third son likewise wished to ride out of the forest to his beloved, and with her forget his sorrows. So he set out and thought of her so incessantly and wished to be with her so much that he never noticed the golden road at all. So yeah, but it's like, and with her forget his sorrows. I mean, it's like that. I do believe is a very fundamental masculine desire, especially in stories, and the princess in this does represent that. So would Arwen. Not exactly Galadriel, since she's already married, that'd be awkward. But Eowyn doesn't initially, but then becomes that. So that's how that all relates. My rambling isn't always like nonsense. There's some connection. It just might be a very thin thread. See you next time for Sleeping Beauty.